So this video recording is going to be about giving your gargoyle some arms. Now, when we do this, just a few things that you're going to need. You already know about most of these. Obviously, you need some clay and a little cup of water. And then either a fork or a pink tool to help you score, and an X-Acto knife to help you trim your arm down. So I'm going to show you a few different ways you can attach the arms. We're going to be using a coil. Coils can be used to make lots of things, but remember that we're working from big features down to smaller features, and that's because the smaller features dry out more quickly, so we want to make sure we do not attach those too soon in the project. So I'm going to take a little bit of clay. Make sure that you have pretty soft clay for this. Coils tend to crack on you if your clay is a little bit too dried out. And I'm going to start by rolling my coil. Just kind of round the clay out between my hands like this. And then once I've got it nice and round, I can start rolling it down on my mat. I'm going to move these things out of the way for a moment. So just do a nice, slow, steady roll. Your coil is going to lengthen as you move your hands apart. Coils can be kind of tricky to make, so if it doesn't work the first time, you may need to try it again. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a coil that's long enough that I can create both arms out of that coil, because I want both the arms to look the same. And if I roll a coil that's a nice even thickness, I'll be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. So that I've got one side for each arm. And then I'm going to think about what I want my arm to look like in terms of its shape. And then of course we'll need to consider the length. If you think about your own arm, it's thicker up top and then it gets thinner as it comes down towards your wrist. So we're going to be doing the same thing here. Just like you rolled your gargoyle's neck and you put the pressure down on just that spot, we're going to be doing the same thing with the arm here to thin out a spot for the wrist. All right, I'm going to trim the end here. Okay, so now I've got an arm that looks pretty good, but I need to hold it up to my gargoyle to make sure that it looks like it's the right size, it's not out of proportion. Let me turn this way. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to need to trim it in the back here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm using my X-Acto knife to trim. And then I can decide how I want to position it. So I could have it up here. Of course, this is going to be the shoulder. I could have it coming down straight. I could have it coming around the front and kind of curving around the front of the gargoyle. I could position it up so that maybe my gargoyle is eating something, however you would like to do it, and both arms do not need to be in the same position. The other thing that you could do if you wanted to, if you want to make a gargoyle that has its front arms coming straight down, you could do it something like this, but I would want to shorten this a little bit because right now it looks like it's too long. I would say the leg probably needs, or arm rather, needs to start right about here. I'm going to have my arms coming around the side of the gargoyle, kind of like this. And before I attach it, I'm going to go ahead and make the second arm to make sure that it looks the same, so that they're symmetrical. All right. So I need to roll and put pressure just on the end here to thin it out and make it look like a wrist. And then I'm going to hold it up to my first arm so that I can trim it to the same length. And hopefully they'll look approximately the same. I think this one's still a little bit too long. All right. Excuse me. Now before I attach these, I want to make sure that they look nice and smooth. I will continue to do some smoothing work once I attach them. I want to get most of it finished before I attach it to my gargoyle. All right, so I'm going to start by positioning this, getting it the way I want it. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like from the side. Here's what it looks like from the front. And I'm going to need to score and slip it on here. Now to do that, I'm going to need to make my score marks both on the back side of the arm and then also on my gargoyle. I want to make sure I don't do any score marks in an area where I can see them. So I'm going to take my pink tool, draw a little guideline. Pop that off. There's what my guideline looks like. And then we'll do some scoring. Miss Egbert just came in the room. Hello. She's trying very hard not to laugh. Just some reminders on scoring. You really want to make sure you've scratched up the surface. We don't just want a few little scratch marks. I normally go one way and then cross back the other way to make sure the surface really is scratched up. And then we're going to do the same thing on the underside of the arm that attaches to the gargoyle. Now the portion of my arm that I would consider the wrist, that does not attach to my gargoyle. So I'm actually not going to do any score marks there. Okay, and there's what the underside of my arm looks like. Got a little bit of water on my fingertip to help glue the two pieces together. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend the back of the arm so that it looks like it is actually attached to the body, but I do not need to blend the arm all the way down because I don't want it to look like it's attached all the way down the side of the arm. Just where it looks like it would have a shoulder. Now, one of the things you need to be careful of when you're doing this, make sure that you do blend these areas completely, because that's one of the things that I look for when I grade these is it completely blended in so that we can no longer see where you attached that piece in any area where you do need to blend it. And again, I'm only blending on the back side of the arm. I'm going to use just a little bit more water just to help seal the two pieces together and smooth that area out. If you do use water to help you smooth at any point, make sure you work the water into the surface of the clay so that it's not just sitting on the surface, because if you do that and then you add more water and more water and more water, your clay is going to start to get slimy on you, and we do not want that to happen. All right, so now I've got one arm attached. Of course, he still needs hands. I'm going to do that in a different video, but you will need to add hands if you have arms. You need your arm to end in something, whether it's a claw or a paw or some other kind of feature from an animal that you can think of. That's up to you, but no stumps, okay? All right, I would of course go ahead and attach the other arm, exactly the same concept. Okay, and I could position it differently if I wanted to. Hello. But that is up to you. You could have it positioned the same way if you'd like. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.